How does someone in child welfare law become an expert or bring enlightenment about the opioid epidemic? Is there a connection between child welfare and this opioid crisis?
Absolutely. It is an epidemic for children and families. Often children are in foster care because of substance abuse by parents, and that has risen dramatically because of the use of opioids and the addictive quality of them.
You know, you mentioned the addictive quality of them. What happens to be the origin of this epidemic? What drives it?
Well, there are a couple different theories, but one is it's extremely addictive. But the second thing to keep in mind, Matt, is that there is a tolerance reduction that occurs with opioid use. And so what happens is a body becomes more and more tolerant to it, so they seek a greater high, a bigger high, they take more of it, and then that can often lead to things like heroin use. I think 80% of heroin users state that they actually used opioids, prescription medication, before they ever tried heroin.
So it, in essence, becomes a prescription gateway drug that leads to even deeper addictions.
It can, absolutely.
Now, you know, with regard to medicine, there's certainly always a purpose. There's some reason why these strong pain medications in many cases were created, but how is it that they become abused beyond the point of their purpose?
Well, again, they say they're just that addictive, and people start taking them for legitimate reasons, for legitimate purpose, and then they become tolerant to it and they take a little more, and it's just a highly addictive narcotic. Now, it's important to keep in mind there is a very important use for these prescription narcotics for pain management, but only if used as the way prescribed. And regrettably, not only are people getting prescriptions for them, they're getting prescriptions and then selling them on the street, and individuals are taking them that don't have that prescription for a particular use.
Ashley, we talk about responsibility and who has the responsibility for creating this crisis, or certainly for this crisis to be where it is today. Is it the pharmaceutical companies, or is it the individuals who are taking the drugs and seeking these drugs out? Just why do we have this situation? Who's got the responsibility here?
Right, Trey. So I think it's the responsibility of an individual not to abuse drugs. But having said that, because of its addictive nature, that's going to happen. So then we do have to look at the pharmaceutical companies, doctors prescribing. I'll just say, for instance, pharmaceutical companies, they're going to sell the drugs that are needed for the doctors to prescribe them. But then you have to look at doctors prescribing and say, are you prescribing the minimum amount necessary to manage pain effectively and within certain limits? Or are you prescribing amounts that are going to be detrimental to individuals, or that they can get too many and then go sell them on the street? There has to be some accountability by the medical profession and pharmaceutical companies, simply be given the severity of this epidemic now.